You do not want to do this, trust me.
Giant leaps will always come at a cost.
Hello once again, watchers of good movies. My name is Nick Pell and this is my review of Venom. Now for those unfamiliar, this does not take place within the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It is a completely separate entity from that universe. This is Sony's own Spider-Verse, or I guess Venomverse as you would call it. They're starting to make their own set of films within this universe. Venom is the first one of a presumed trilogy, if this does well enough. And it's going to be the launching point for a bunch of other Spider-Man-esque films without including Tom Holland's Spider-Man per se. General plot of this film is that it stars Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock, who is the main person that most people know as Venom, the host of Venom, and he is a reporter. He is in San Francisco, not New York, and so he doesn't have that dynamic with Peter Parker per se. And when he goes to interview Carlton Drake of the Life Foundation about some suspicious things going on, he ends up losing his job, and we have a time jump which happens, and eventually throughout a series of events he acquires the Venom symbiote, and we have our film, more or less. Now, a lot of people have said that Tom Hardy is one of the main reasons that this film works so well, and that is true, because he is one of the few people, I think, which could make this character work with the script that he has. Because he has this sense of desperation to him, to the character, because like I said, he's this reporter, he's very go-getter type of reporter, he wants to dive into the hard stuff, so he has that drive and determination to him, but at the same time, when he's down on his luck and he's starting to kind of experience the side effects of having the symbiote within his body, you can see him just kind of in fear of what's going on, not really knowing what's happening, and you can see this kind of panic and desperation on his face. And so I thought that Tom Hardy really portrayed that well and just really brought the character to the big screen in a really well done fashion. And easily one of the other best parts of this film is his interactions with the Venom symbiote, because those are easily some of the funniest parts of the film. Just seeing Venom talk to Eddie, trying to figure out moral dilemmas and things of that sort, because the general idea is that Venom and the rest of the symbiotes in this film, they came from a comet which was discovered in space, and so they're basically aliens, and they have to be within a host in order to survive. And so Eddie ends up being a very, very suitable host for Venom, and so they have to work together in order to survive as a unit. And it's just really comedic to just have Venom just talking in his head, see their interactions and exchanges going on, and basically Eddie just trying to tell Venom, no, you cannot do this, and you should not be biting people's heads off, because there are some good people in this world. You should not kill those people. And I just thought that their overall dynamic throughout the film was just easily one of the funniest parts and one of the best parts of the film for me personally. And as I said, the film was actually really, really funny. I was not really expecting this amount of humor in this film, and again, that's part of the Eddie Brock Venom exchanges, which go on throughout the film, because there's just lines which work really well, and just certain scenes which had me and the rest of the audience just laughing out loud just because of how funny they were. And it wasn't like the scene was so bad it was funny type of thing. It was like legit humor, which I think, as far as I could tell, was intended to be funny, and just worked really, really nicely. And then the fight and chase scenes also really well done. They're for the most part CGI, because obviously you don't have an actual Venom here on Earth to use for your movie, so you have to use it through CGI means, and I thought that that all looked really, really good. There's a chase scene about midway through the film where you have Eddie Brock on a motorcycle trying to outrun these life agents, and you have Venom just basically helping him out, helping him survive, and I thought that whole sequence was really well done. And then just the Venom fight scenes which are in this film just also looked really, really nice, and I really had no issues in that regard either. There is something of an odd time jump, which I said earlier. It's about 6 months, because we get kind of introduced to Eddie and what's going on in this film, and then there's just a 6-month time jump which doesn't really make a lot of sense in regards to a certain part of the plot, in my opinion, because it just seemed really strange to me. I understand why it's there, but I felt like they could have done something a little bit more reasonable. Another negative is something which isn't necessarily the film's fault, but it is PG-13, and so there's a lot of scenes which could have had a lot of blood and more nasty effects per se. If it had been rated R, and maybe they'll release some unrated version of the film eventually, but there are scenes which I think could have benefited from a certain amount of blood or gore just based on things which happen. And then there are just some odd plot points, things which don't necessarily line up or don't really make sense when you think back on them. So there are those aspects of the film. I won't really comment on them here, but they are there, so just keep that in mind. Another thing which kind of surprised me is Riz Ahmed's character. He's the main antagonist of the film, the head of the Life Foundation, and I actually found his reasoning for why he was doing what he's doing, it kind of made sense, because in this world the idea is that the Earth's resources are basically going to be used up for the next generation, so the Earth is going to be basically uninhabitable in like 100 years or something. So he's going out into space to try to find a way to preserve human life. And so I think that his intentions are very noble and they make a lot of sense. It's how he goes about doing it which is the problem, in which he is willing to just sacrifice a bunch of people in order to find a way to host with these alien symbiote creatures who want to ultimately take over the world and leave it barren anyway. And so I just like that aspect of his character. In regards to kind of why he was doing what he's doing, I obviously didn't really like how he went about it though. And then the ending to this film in regards to like the final fight, which you see in the trailer, as well as kind of how the film wraps up, it's also pretty well done. I enjoyed seeing that, as well as pretty entertaining for the most part, and it added up and made sense in regards to things that we had learned earlier. There's two post-credit scenes, or I guess there's one mid-credit scene as you would expect, which kind of sets up a potential sequel. And then I'm not going to say what the thing towards the end of the credits is, but I highly recommend sticking around for it because it was just a really fun surprise and something which I had no idea was going to happen. So guys, surprisingly for me, I really enjoyed Venom. I had a fun time watching it. I thought that the character portrayal by Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock and his interactions with Venom easily made the film really fun for me because they were hilarious, and it was just really fun to see that dynamic develop and evolve throughout the course of the film between Eddie and Venom, and see their kind of butt heads, but also realize towards the end, as you would expect, that they need each other in order to take down this bigger threat. And yeah, I was expecting this thing to not be great based on reviews that I saw, and the fact that a lot of people who I looked to for reviews said the film was crap, and I disagree wholeheartedly. I thought the film was really fun, really good, and I hope that we get to see a sequel to this thing in 2-3 years whenever they decide to do it. So guys, those are my thoughts on Venom. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Did you like it as much as I did? Did you hate it more than I did? Let me know. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe once again if you so choose. I'd appreciate it immensely. And as always, my people, my name is Nick Pell, and once again, keep on watching.